Decisive night. Russian lose 2 ammo depots, and 9 artilleries war in Ukraine explained. The biggest news on July 4, 2023, comes from the east. A few hours ago, Ukrainians carried out a massive HIMARS attack along the eastern contact line. The first target was the largest Russian logistical hub in the occupied territories. Donetsk, Ukraine's largest city, is also the most industrialized. Russians use a very developed logistics system to store and accumulate ammunition and equipment. Geo quickly located the footage and found that it was a clear target. Ukrainians attacked a warehouse at the factory Surma, located only 100 meters from the railway. Russian sources claimed that Ukrainians had used 2 hammer rockets to strike the facilities. Some sources claimed that the coin was able to destroy newly arrived equipment. Makivka geolocated footage shows that an explosion occurred on the territory of the metallurgical factory. The second target was the twin city of Donetsk. The Russians used Tokim because of its size. Russian sources claimed that Ukrainians also launched 2 hammer missiles in this area and even claimed to have shut down 1 missile. It did not make a difference. The smoke from the explosion covered multiple cities. Ukrainian military sources confirmed that Ukrainians had successfully struck a Russian ammunition storage depot, which just received huge supplies. These strikes were designed to decrease the Russian forces available on the Eastern Front and make them less ready for use. This was done to weaken Russian defensive capabilities in the area around Bakhmut. Short-term deficits in ammunition or shells could allow Ukrainians to advance, because they only had 1 more fortification south of Bakhmut before expanding. According to some analysts, the artillery shells used by Ukrainians in their HIMARS today are primarily those used for artillery depots. It is true, as Ukrainians began using HIMARS very often for counter-battery fire. The 43rd Artillery Brigade of the Ukrainian Army released a video today showing how they used their HIMARS for hunting down Russian artillery along the southern Bakhmut flank. The Ukrainians' first target was the Gvasika system near Zaitseper. The second target was a multi-launch rocket system Grad, located near Koderma. The hammer missile also had Doudeka as a target. All the systems supported Russian troops in the area where Ukrainian advances were taking place. The Ukrainian hammer crews conducted several strikes against the northern flank of their batchmates. Ukrainians struck 2 S-5 Gets and S systems near Bakhmutsky BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket systems nearby. Second grade in Pokrovsky. The third grad south from Pokrovsky. I did 20 hobbits near Pidorodnia and M109 hobbits in Bakhmut. According to the footage, Ukrainians have destroyed 9 Russian artillery system types in the past 2 days. It is important to note that the artillery of the Russians is the primary factor in slowing down Ukrainian progress. We can see if we combine the fact that the Ukrainians destroyed nearly a dozen Russian artillery systems and blew several large ammunition depots in the vicinity of Bakhmut, that the Ukrainians have created favorable conditions for an eventual breakthrough. Russians accumulated tons of ammunition in the plant, which is huge. Ukraine allegedly launched 2 HIMARS missiles towards this location, and one of them, according to Russian sources, was shot down. However, it didn't change anything. The blast was so powerful that smoke spread to several cities. Ukrainian military sources confirmed that Ukrainians had successfully struck a Russian ammunition storage depot, which just received massive supplies. These strikes were designed to reduce Russian ready-to-use resources on the Eastern Front and weaken Russian defensive capabilities around Bakhmut. Short-term shortages of shells and ammunition can be a great opportunity to advance because, as you may remember, the Ukrainians only have 1 fortification before moving south of Bakhmut. Analysts claim that most of the artillery shells were found in the ammunition depots that Ukrainians attacked today with HIMARS. It is true because Ukrainians often began using HIMARS for counter-battery fire. The 43rd Artillery Brigade of the Ukrainian Army released a video today showing how their HIMARS hunted down Russian artillery on Bakhmut's southern flank. The Ukrainians' first target was the Gvozdika near Zaitsev. The second target was the multiple-launch rocket Grad system near Koderma. Gvozdika was another target for the HIMARS. As you can see, these systems supported Russian troops in the area where Ukrainian advances took place. HIMARS crews from Ukraine also carried out a series of strikes along the northern flank of Bakhmut. Ukrainians also struck the Tu-5 Jatsin-S system near Bakhmutsky. They also hit the BIM-21 Grad multi-launch rocket systems nearby, the 2nd Grad at Pokrovsky, and the 3rd Grad south of Pokrovsky. Intelligence reports revealed that the Russian army established 2 large ammunition depots and 9 artillery batteries deployed in a strategically important town. Both sides were at a crucial moment, and the result would have wide-ranging consequences. Let's look at the map to understand the situation better. We can see that Ukrainian-controlled territories surround the town. The Russian forces captured the town and strengthened their position by installing artillery and ammo units nearby. They intended to use their resources to launch offensives against the Ukrainian-held areas. The Ukrainian military leaders quickly devised an offensive plan after recognizing the importance of this situation. They knew that by destroying artillery and neutralizing ammo stores, they could severely hinder the Russian offensive capability. This could shift the balance of power in their favor. The Ukrainian military targeted these depots to disrupt Russian supply chains and limit their offensive capabilities. Destroying the artillery would also neutralize an important threat, as they provide long-range firepower that can cause extensive damage to civilian infrastructure and military targets. The mission wasn't just about eliminating the immediate threat and crippling Russian forces long-term. The Ukrainian military knew the importance of taking decisive action to gain an advantage. The Ukrainian military understood they needed decisive action to gain a strategic advantage. Now let's get to the actual operation. The Ukrainian military planned an undercover night operation against the Russian positions. They developed a plan based on their intelligence and specialized forces to maximize the element of surprise and minimize casualties. The Russian military's ability to maintain their offensive and control certain areas has been severely hindered by losing key ammunition depots and positions. The Ukrainian forces made significant gains in territory as the Russian forces struggled with regrouping. The operation was successful in causing heavy losses to the enemy and helped boost the morale of Ukrainian troops. The Ukrainian artillery also launched a simultaneous barrage on the Russian positions. The sustained bombardment did not only destroy several enemy artillery units, but also disrupted coordination and weakened frontline defenses. When we add that the Ukrainians destroyed nearly a dozen Russian artillery systems and blew up several large ammunition depots in Bakhmut, we can see how the Ukrainians quickly created favorable conditions to make a breakthrough. What will happen next? Do you still believe diplomatic efforts will resolve the situation, or is a more aggressive stance necessary? Nobody knows, because you can expect anything from both sides during the war. So, stay with us as we regularly bring you authentic news from the battleground.